If you're learning a different language, the truth is that you can learn that language in far less time than you might think. So you might have something coming up, maybe a holiday or you're traveling somewhere, and you want to learn that language as quickly as possible. Well, the key to doing that is to only learn the bits of language you will need for going abroad or traveling somewhere. And in this video, I'm going to dive in the reasons behind that, what you can do about it, and how you can learn your target language in far less time. I'm James, I'm a native English speaker. Puedo hablar español y anche puedo parlare italiano. I help people reach their language learning goals. So I mentioned before that you should only learn the relevant stuff that you will need for the reason that you're going to need a language. So take an example, you're going on a holiday in a short period of time. There'll be a lot of language that you don't actually need to know. For example, grandpa or granddad or random niche words that you could use in certain situations, but not for the ones that you're using on holiday. So say I'm in England at the moment and I'm going to be traveling to Spain in the near future on holiday. I might go to restaurants, I might go to the beach, I might navigate my way around the city. Those are the bits of language that I should focus on learning, and anything that's not that, I should not learn. Because ultimately, if you go on a language course or you go on sort of a class of 30 people learning a language, the language taught to you isn't tailored for your needs. You'll learn everything from grammar, from past tense to different vocabulary that's maybe very niche and not relevant for you. So, if you wanted to speed up the process and learn it for your purpose only, then you cut out a lot of the time. You cut out 90 or more percent of the time it takes to learn that language. Because, say, for example, you're on a 3 month language course. In that 3 months, you're not going to be focused on getting really good at one thing or a couple of scenarios. You're going to be trying to learn the whole language. And that's just inefficient if you don't need to. So, doing it this way not only saves you time, it also helps to build momentum so you can learn a bit, learn a scenario, like maybe you're ordering in a restaurant, you get really good at that, then that gives you confidence to move on to a different scenario. You might relate if you've done a language course or lessons in the past where you cover one little bit, you might have a conversation with a colleague or something in that language to practice it, like role play, like being the staff member versus the customer, saying, "Hi, I would like this, please." But you might do that once or twice, but then move on to something else because you've got a lot of topics to cover. Whereas realistically, if you continue to practice that scenario and variants of it, then when it comes time to go on holiday and you actually get to speak that language, then you're already really familiar with what you're saying and what the response back should be and everything about it because you've practiced different variants of it. There's actually a famous martial arts quote by, I believe, Bruce Lee, who says, "I don't fear the person who's practiced 10,000 kicks, but I fear the person who's practiced a kick 10,000 times." That's one kick so many times. And you can apply that logic to language learning or to a situation. So if you go to a bar or you're asking for directions in a different country and you know exactly what to say and you've practiced the same scenario again and again and again in different ways, like left, right, left, second right, behind, next to, all of those types of phrases and words you can say in that situation, if you practice that loads and you get really good at that, imagine how good you'll be at that when you're on holiday. And that is because you're not spending time learning stuff that you don't actually need. Also, if you're a busy person and it's hard to find time to actually learn a language, I do actually have a free email course over the period of 30 days where I send you a new email containing a little snippet of value that takes 1 minute to read every day over the next 30 days. And that sort of builds on from the content that I speak about in these YouTube videos, and they're super easy to read in your spare time when you've got a minute free. But if you're interested, there's a link below to check it out. The next point is that a lot of people start by learning grammar. So if you're looking to go on holiday in Spain or learn a language in a short space of time, don't start learning grammar because it's not relevant for you at that point. Quite often people, even if they go on holiday, they're thinking, oh, grammar's important, let's learn how to say the in different ways, or let's learn about the genders of different words, because in many languages that aren't English, you have different genders and they think it's important. But realistically, if you get the gender wrong or something, but it's in the right context, it doesn't matter. And if you learn a situation, so for example, you're at a bar or at a restaurant or you're navigating around a city centre, if you make the grammar a little bit wrong, but you use hand gestures and you're asking the question, your body language portrays a lot more than being grammatically correct. So if you're pointing and saying, where is train or where is station train, you're going to be understood because they know exactly what you're doing. So there's no point worrying about the grammar unless you're obviously trying to write the language and you're trying to understand it or pass an exam or something. But realistically, you don't need to learn the grammar. You start with ready-made phrases and even use ChatGPT to generate a sentence or conversation for you between a native speaker and a tourist who are maybe asking for directions or they're ordering at a bar, then learn that script or learn bits of it and pick up keywords from it. And at the end of it, you can say back to ChatGPT after it's given you the script, you can say, okay, please change the situation, make it so that I'm trying to find a different thing, or I'm in a different type of restaurant, or I'm ordering different food, and it will do the same for you. So ultimately, don't learn grammar at the start, focus on ready-made phrases, and even if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter because you're probably going to be understood by a native speaker anyway. All that happens if you spend time learning grammar is it slows down your progress getting good at situations that matter more to you later down the line. So that's where you can get pretty good at a language in a matter of weeks rather than spending months or years trying to perfect it. If you're someone who wants to learn the language as quickly as possible, ready for going away or doing something in a different country. Anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed it and see you later.